Hello. That was on purpose. Welcome
Oh,
back. I'm
hey.
kidding. Hey Ash, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Chris?
I am doing great on this fine Friday afternoon. Sun is
Mm,
shining, sky
kinda.
is bright.
Is
You
it
know, they don't know.
back to what the FUX? What the fucks?
That's us.
That is us.
hmm
Now we've got our Vanna. Hey, Vanna.
Don't
Mm.
worry if it says something different here. I also go by Daryl.
Daryl. Whew. All
I
right,
don't go by
Daryl
Daryl.
and Vanna.
hmm
Let's see what we've got on our wheel of topics to spin to give us that real natural reaction to what the FUX in topics.
Spin it.
Here, boop. Na 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 na. Today's topic, bebop boobop.
As it slows down, that sounds like. Uh-oh. Hard exhale.
Hard exhale. Advocacy in UX.
Okay,
Okay.
let's do it.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so it's there was a time when younger Chris was like, "Hi, yes, all I want to in my resume it says that I'm ready to advocate for UX and do this, that, and the other, and be that cheerleader to help educate people." Those are two different things, kid. Why are you advocating for UX? Why? This is your job. Your job is to do UX design. So why are you advocating for it? Why? That is not necessary. And at that time, young Chris was all, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but that's not the energy. That's not sustainable. There's a difference between bringing people along with you, surfacing different methodologies that can help flesh out a problem space or opportunity space. You it's a large contradiction to be advocating for UX as a UXer.
Boop.
Mm.
So the plus 1 trillion XP. So here's the thing. I actually recently did a lengthy post about this on LinkedIn and on Medium.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
an article, a quick one on
Mhm.
Medium. So here's the thing about, and I'm doing air quotations about advocacy. If the gig is to educate teams about what UX is, that should not default onto the people doing the UX work. Not everybody is political. Not everyone wants to stand up and get in that game. Not everyone is an educator, a teacher. Not everyone wants to be that. So if you roll up to a job, you're already the expert in the thing that you're doing when you apply. If you're deeply uncomfortable or indifferent participating in a space that demands you be political, frankly, it's not advocacy, it's arguing with stakeholders or other teams about the value that UX brings. If that's not for you, but it's a requirement for you on the job, that will burn you out. Full stop, period. It's also not going to change the environment, right? Because that is a dynamic that requires openness and conscientiousness on the part of the employer, and the dynamics and the teams are trying to, quote, advocate to means change about. So I think we
Mhm.
have to be clear and careful about what this can be. So, what I think has happened is that the educating what it is maybe like a legacy software from back in time when people didn't really know what UX was. The issue is that that's again another entry point. It's not a maintenance place. And so the fact that the people who don't know what it is haven't leveled up means that there's this constant barrage and barrier to acceptance of the work. That's a culture problem. That's a company problem. That's a team problem.
A
And that's not,
maturity problem.
check out that other episode about UX maturity. That's a maturity problem. there's a lot of problems, and that's, a big deal. What it shouldn't be is the problem of the person trying to do the work. I don't want to go to work and advocate on your behalf because I ain't advocating, and I am not built for that. And that is not a negative about me. It's not. Everyone has personalities. I go to work wanting to do things I am good at, that I enjoy. I don't want to do that. And so I say in my little piece online, like, if you have people who are already in UX who dig on that vibe, make like an advocacy group. Make UXers who dig on that vibe, and they're present at every stakeholder meeting. They're present at every insights meeting. They are the ones who are going to brunt that and protect the people who are there to do the work. And they may result in change if the environment is open to the same, but they also won't burn out because that's their vibe. You feel me? And
Yeah.
so get the people who dig on it, and or if you don't have anyone in your org, hire for that role. Say, we just want an advocator educator. Let's be real, that's what it is.
Mm.
Advocating and educating. So someone
Hmm.
who is confident and comfortable in the task of taking something that may or may not be palatable, or it may just be frank, separation of knowledge. Like, people just might not know what this is, what it's for, but it cannot be wrapped up as part of the job description for UX anymore. To me, that's a red flag.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Because the maturity is too low, the expectations are impossible, because it's about the individual comfort and the openness of the environment. And I actually came up with a quadrant system of what happens. And like 3 out of the 4 is burnout. Check out the article if you want. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm a researcher and I'm a mega
Boom.
nerd, but that's what's up.
Yep. Yep.
Rampage.
There's
And
also a yes and to that,
mm,
because I love the idea of orgs and full T. Your idea is good. Not even that. Your idea is great. The adoption of that companies, yeah, exactly, like that. Like, I don't see that happening, because more often than not, companies that are dealing with legacy will be like, "Ugh," and I don't even know what that means, but it is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't. So what I
you're
really mean to say is your idea is
mm,
great, and the plus one to it is that if orgs and leadership are not looking to hire someone to advocate and educate, I've seen I've seen situations where your team lead, your manager, your director, your VP of product or design,
mm,
they're the advocates. They're the ones that are holding the line and shielding for you, so that everyone else, as part of design research org,
yep.
are shielded from that. And uh, there might be like drip drops and drizzle that you might have to kind of support and
Mm-hmm.
and show up for, but you shouldn't have to make that, especially if it's not your bag. If you shouldn't have to absorb that.
Yes.
And also say there's also, um, there are degrees between advocacy and education. I mean, like, when someone
Mm,
asks me something and they come to me genuinely, not that I'm on some sort of pedestal, but if someone has a specific question that they think I can answer, and I can answer it, that's fine. But I shouldn't be arguing to do the roles and responsibilities of my job. That's different.
oh, I love this. So, yes. So, answering, not arguing, and how advocacy is not like in the middle there. Do you know what I mean? Like, we have to be really careful about the words that we accept and the words that we're using and how we're defining them in real life. So if there is a someone on top who is meant to manage, management is also defense.
Hmm.
So it's also a filter about what needs to come down and what needs to go up. Why are we constantly throwing this on the people who are trying so hard to do the work? It makes the work not doable. I've been in roles where like 99.5% of what I was doing was justifying my paycheck and why research was even here, and then people just went, we don't need that anyway. That's not work. That's real lousy, and it's great for burnout. Because the work I do does add value. But if you're trying to add value by proving your worth via advocacy,
Mm.
that's an unhealthy relationship. They do
Yeah.
not value you. Let's be
Yeah.
real. If you have to prove why you're there, you're not wanted. And that is a cultural issue in workplaces. And I think that's when we spoke about, UX maturity and the awareness of what is brought. But it isn't okay to create this environment where we call it advocacy, but it's actually attack culture.
Mm.
Gross. They're not, don't do that. So yeah, like me as a person, if I see like evangelize or advocate, I'm like, no,
Mm.
nope, 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 nope. And that's
Yeah.
experience based, but what else are we
Yeah.
as creatures?
Yeah.
Blah.
It's it's not easy, and
Mm-mm.
sometimes you don't even know that's what is happening until it starts to until it starts to affect you. And I
Yep.
didn't know that it was happening to me with one situation that happened. I didn't know until like I was really churning and arguing, and it felt like it just felt like almost like, oh, I'm gonna break my own heart right now. It's almost like the never ending story scene when he's
Don't
trying to
do it.
pull
Don't.
Atreyu. He's trying
Don't
to
you
pull
dare.
Artax, and Artax is like, I
I
mean, like,
can't.
it's like that moment, like you're trying, like, come on, Artax, like, come out, like. You have to climb out, and like I'm sure I can show you the way. And then he didn't. Artax is gone. That is what it was like, and I didn't know I was in that moment until after Artax was gone, and
Oh
the horse
man.
in my situation was the project. And some of the people were
Mm.
like, "But why are you trying to lead us out of the quicksand or whatever?" So it's and like my mindset at the time was that I didn't want to I'm representing our design team, our UX
Mm.
team. I'm representing. I need to make sure I can't give up. Like
Mm.
not in the ha 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 like if not me, I'm assigned to this.
Yeah.
There's the methods that I feel are necessary for us to plan something to move forward. I don't want it to reflect poorly on our team, and I want this project to succeed. So over and over, it would just play in my head. But yeah,
And
sometimes you don't
that's
know until you're in it or past it or whatever.
and to plus one onto that, and I think this is why one of the reasons like I wanted to do this podcast is I fully believe that you don't have to experience negative things to know them. So, like, this can work as a way of giving education to people that if it feels like you're arguing, it feels like you're constantly coming up against barriers, reasons why people arguing back. That's what this is. Like, the experience and the exposure is it's awful. And I think I didn't know either until I quit that place because I was like, I was a mess.
Mm,
Like, um, and then I was like, yo, that's not good. And it's repeated itself before, but I was different in each instance because I knew more. But I think part of this episode, the urgency and my tone and in the need to get this out there is like, in case you're not sure, and to know that it does happen. And if you're not comfortable, you're not failing at being a UXer. The job is failing you and how they're telling you what you're supposed to be. Okay?
mm,
This isn't about you.
yeah,
It's about UX.
I think. And what
Time.
the f UX?
Mm.
Brought to you by Daryl. There's an interesting like bit that I think connects to what you just said and circles back in a way around supports, managers, directors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because I feel like we're on a path now where I feel like we're talking to people across the field, and it's like, how do they see signs or what sort of options they might be able to take? For me, in situations like that. I don't want to get into I don't want to go into a T moment, but it's my instruction. I did the opposite of what I was told to do, which was to keep quiet. And I
Mm.
instead went and turned to my direct report, my UX manager, and I told her about everything that was happening and point blank asked, am I am I am I am I missing something? Am I crazy? Like, it seems to me that this is happening, and what I'm trying to explain and share is not being heard, received.
Mm.
And if not for that, I would have stayed in here and I would have kept churning and I would have burnt out. I almost burnt out, but
Mm.
if not for that support, and in the end, she started to join those some of those work sessions, and it was pivotal. Um,
Mm.
Supports, man. Like, what do you think about that? What have you seen?
Well, I think, almost less about the supports because that's what either changes it or doesn't, but more about
Hmm.
what you did for yourself. So when we talk about advocating for the UX, advocate for yourself. If this
Hmm.
doesn't feel good and something doesn't feel right, talk about it. The
Hmm.
worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to be like, I'm out of here. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Maybe, but it's one of these moments where it's like that was you checking in with yourself about your experience, and that's what matters. If this is not comfortable, if you feel like you're constantly coming up, explore who is available to chat to, same
Hmm.
or higher, and see what may change. We are problem solvers. We know how to do that. That's what this whole discipline is. And it's always worth investing and exploring if that's possible for this situation too. So that's what I would say. If the supports are there, awesome. If change
Yeah.
happens, amazing. And if it doesn't, you did right by you. You're
Mm-hmm.
advocating for you in the role. And then you know what you need for now and or next time.
On the subject of advocacy in UX, it's important to be aware of your surroundings. It's important to be aware of what you're observing, how you're
Mm.
processing it, and and the impact you feel or don't feel is happening. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all the time we have because we say so.
Commercial break. Yeah. So thank
Yeah,
you for
yeah.
coming on this ride,
For now, I'm Chris.
and I'm Ash. Thanks for coming.
Also Daryl, and Ash is also
Quincy.
known as.
None of this
Bye.
makes sense. Okay.